Drag racing fan between the slicks here on the Monday Morning Racer platforms, as well as Competition Plus on the Facebook side of matters. And the Drag Racing Connection is live. If you would be so kind to hit the like button, hit the share button, let everyone know that we're talking about drag racing right here on Between the Slicks with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Craft. On the show tonight, Greg Stelse. We're going to be talking with him. Greg's Speed Shop, the guy driving the Joker A-gas machine in the Southeast Gassers Association drag racing, which he'll be in competition this very weekend at Kill Care Dragway in Xenia, Ohio. And you can see the action pick up on Friday and in earnest on Saturday with qualifying beginning afternoon and rolling on into eliminations. Monday Morning Racer will also be there and will bring you the action on the YouTube channel as well for A-Gas. Focus on them as we've been doing already in this year, the year of 2024. Well, without any further ado, we're going to take a break, get Greg on the show, dive into his story on why the Joker, why Sega, why so much. As I joked with him, maybe we even get to learn what his favorite candy was as a kid and get that personal with Mr. Stelse here on Between the Slicks. I got to say thank you to McKinney Corp. That's where I'm at right now. Well, not necessarily in the shop at McKinney Corp, but here in Lafayette, Indiana, getting some content today and tomorrow before heading down to Ohio. Folks, for all your fabrication needs, you do not have to look any further than McKinney Corp. From the commercial side to the industrial side to the motorsports side, if you need it fabbed, call McKinney Corp. From fuel tanks to whole entire race car chassis, whether that's door cars, fuel cars of the funny car or top fuel variety, it doesn't matter. McKinney Corp can figure out what you need and get that part and piece produced. There were some parts and pieces on the floor today for IndyCar. I actually had to ask Murph, like, is this top secret? Can I share a photo? And he's got to figure it out. There was actually a top secret part for a top fuel team. I cannot disclose that. And there was also parts and pieces for Purdue, some type of reactor that's in the bottom of a lab and, poisonous gas runs through it. Don't ask me. They get strange things at McKinney Corp, but they weld them up, they get them out the door. Whatever you need, McKinney Corp is your fab solution. This break, and then Mr. Stelse here on Between the Slicks.
McKinney Motorsports is your number one source for all your chassis needs. McKinney Motorsports is the leading chassis parts supplier and fabricator in nitro drag racing. From custom tanks and fittings, full chassis builds, body mounts, steering components, fasteners, tabs, clamps, composite parts, and much more. Our household name in the racing world guarantees added performance on the track. Join our list of proven winners that spans over 50 years of racing experience.
Greg, man, welcome to Between the Slicks. You're already there at the track, Kill Care Raceway, and as we were talking a bit off air, already got a hit in and looking to get some more.
Yes, had to get down here early. There's call for maybe some rain tomorrow, so I wanted to be here early to, just get a little bit up on the competition.
Well, we see you and your team routinely putting out there chasing that world record. And well, when you're chasing records, you're chasing wins and championships along the way. Why in particular for yourself and those that make up your team, Team Joker, if you will, are you all enamored so much with this world record in the gassers?
Yeah, it's pretty much, over the years, I raced a lot of different cars, from modifieds to late models to stock cars. I raced a lot with, drag racing. I won a lot of races, but with the Sega deal, I just want to be the baddest on the planet.
Well, it's certainly a place to do it. I know that you've had the Joker, it seems like, looking through social media for a while, even though it wasn't in Sega competition. And You talk about doing it in a place where it's the baddest. Is that how you perceive it? Is it like the top level of gasser drag racing out there? Is that what drew you to it, like a moth to the flame?
Yeah, when I found out that how fast they were, I've been scoping them out for years. It took me like 5 years to get my car up to what it needed to be to race with the Southeast Gassers. I mean, I'd come to all these tracks and look at my competition. But when I decide to do something, I mean, I'm all in. And right now, it's about the world record. I mean, yes, I want to win a race. Yes, I want to win a championship, but they really don't matter to me. I want to be the baddest. So I want to be the fastest on the planet. So my grandkids can look back and say, my grandpa went out, raced the best in the world in gassers. And, and you already know in the Southeast gassers, there's some real professional race car drivers that have lots of wallies that you're racing against. And these guys are the baddest. And I'm trying to be one of them. And I mean, I know I'm close, but we just got to keep pushing.
There are certainly spectacular drivers within the Southeast Gassers Association, and they come from a wide background as well. The cars, the way in which they are currently, as fast and as quick as they are in A gas, they are a challenge to drive. You see that routinely with the world champion Gabriel Burrell to former world champion Leslie Horn and many others of just how challenging they are. And how do you quantify it? You mentioned that you've got a wide background in racing. How challenging are these cars to drive? Can you compare it to anything else that you have in your background of racing?
Yeah, I mean, because I have drove the Joker I've owned the car for 10 years. I mean, I've had 1,200 horsepower motors in there, big cubic inch. Um, racing what I race now with the 4 speed, no shift light, 10.5 inch wide tires. I mean, there's a lot of science to it. Um, I mean, I know I got really good equipment. I just got to put it all together. I race a lot all over the country in modifieds and dirt late models. So I know what the competition part is. But this drag racing, this has got me hook, line, and sinkered right now. Um, and the Southeast Gassers, the family is unbelievable. I mean, Leslie is a great guy. And, I know we just made friends for life. This will be my 13th race with Sega this year since I started. So this will be number 13. I haven't missed a race. I put 32,000 miles on last year. I can't even tell you how much money it took to do that, but a lot. Um, because I just want to say I'm the best gasser out there, the fastest at one time. Now, if somebody can beat me the following week, it really doesn't matter to me then. I just want to do this one time at that point in life that I was the baddest on the planet. So that's what I'm focused on right now.
I like it. Man with a goal and attempting to get it. And your attempts, they have, well, tested you, if I may put it that way. There has been broken parts and pieces, and I imagine many a frustrating night and drives up and down the road. Uh, you know, how far do you think you are from accomplishing the task that you have put in front of you to be the baddest, as you're saying?
In practice, I run some good numbers, but I show up at the track and I just can't get it together. You name it, it has went wrong. I think we're really close right now. Um, I have beat that record before in competition, so I know the car will run the numbers. But man, every time I comes to a track, a Sega prep track, it is so different from the tracks that I'm used to racing at. The track is it's really prepped, and my car ain't liking it, and I'm busting things, and I'm trying to get a hold of her, and man, I got to drive the wheels off it. Last year, I had some issues. I made the ladder bars too weak, my own fault, and I struggled with that. When the car would dead hook, it would actually flex the ladder bar, and that really put me behind the game because I was trying everything just to go down the racetrack. Now I got that fixed, so I feel pretty good right now with the car. Once we can start testing back home, I only did one test session because it's still 41 degrees there. Um, so hopefully in the next month I'll be able to test a lot. When I do that, we should definitely get closer. I have a feeling this year's going to be very good for Team Joker, and I'm not quitting until I get it. So it just don't matter. People understand. They'll see that I'm just a guy that just won't quit until I get it.
Well, folks, as we have Greg Stelse here on, feel free to dive into the comment section, throw a question or two my way to give his way as we have him live here on Between the Slicks. Greg, you certainly sound like you are a tenacious individual, and you certainly are dedicated. Explain to everyone an individual from your neck of the woods running down in the southern woods, if you will, in the Southeast Gassers Association. How challenging is that? How many miles? How many hours? What does it take for you to go from where you are to where all these races are?
Well, most of my races take me. They're usually 1,000 miles. Most of the races are 1,000 miles from home. This one here to Ohio is the closest, and that's 8.5 hours for me. Shady Side is like 19 hours, and we go down there, and right after the races, we leave, and we nonstop all the way back home. We have a business to run, so I only can be gone so long. I mean, I got a good group of guys at the shop that definitely help out to take care of that stuff, but the hours that we have, I can't even explain it. It's a lot, and it's a lot of money to do that.
I mean, you're putting in a NHRA Mission Foods level participation when it comes
Yeah,
to travel to get to the race and field your car out there amongst the quickest and the fastest in the Southeast Gassers Association
yep.
in AGAS. It is tremendous what you are doing. And look, so glad that you've got the resources to do it. And I certainly wish many of the other competitors would look at it in the way that you are, because it sounds like at times some of the southern boys are like, oh, I can't travel up north to Killcare, for example.
Yep. Yeah, the biggest thing, you already know life is too short. Here we are. We got to do it right now. Um, it's all about winning. Being the best right now for me. I got a lot of goals that I got to do yet, and I need to get this one knocked out. So, but yeah, it's not about money. This you already know racing is not. There ain't no money here, but the deal is just to say that you did it, and that's what I'm focused on. I'm really focused on getting it. I'm telling you, my car when I get back to the shop, um, there's nobody out working us. I'm telling you right now, what we do to this car, from every nut and bolt that we take off to redoing all the bearings every time, to disassembling the clutch every time. I mean, we do, you name it, we do it. I mean, um, and I believe we are on a fight of our life to get this. To come in to race with these guys, the best, and I know we're right there, and we run their numbers. Um, we just need to put it together, and it's going to come. And we got a great group of guys that help us. Brian Harris Race Cars. Brian's been helping us. He's Leslie's crew chief. They're helping me be faster, which is great because they want to be battling it with me at the end. But I'm telling you, I'm going to get it because I'm not quit until I do.
Speaking of everything coming together, you've had to put a lot of hard work in to have what you've got that, if I may frame it, is propelling all of this. Greg's Speed Shop. And clue us in on all of that. I've seen some images inside your great facility. And the brand, you've got well over 100,000 followers on Facebook, 13,000 subs on YouTube, and I'm sure many other followers on many other platforms. So how long has it took, and what has been the effort to build Greg's Speed Shop?
Pretty much what I've only had Greg's Speed Shop 6 years. I worked on cars my whole life, but when I was a kid, I became a very good painter, and I did a lot of Ferraris, BMWs, Porsches, Lamborghinis, Lotuses, and I did a lot of restoration work, and I was a very good painter. And but I couldn't make enough money back then. And my dad drove truck for 45 years over the road. He said, "I'll put you in a truck next week and make you $2,500." So did that for 27 years. But in the meantime, me and my wife, we ended up making a multi-million-dollar trucking company. And basically, what happened? I went to the Henry Ford Museum right after I spent a couple $1,000,000 upgrading my fleet of trucks. And I walked in the Henry Ford Museum and it changed my life. And I'm a Chevy guy. In the Ford Museum, I could have been shot down by lightning that day. But he literally changed my life. It was about like what I'm chasing right now. It's about life. I hated my job, made a lot of money. Hated my job though. So I had to change it. So I started Greg's Speed Shop. And it's just going to be me and my wife, slow life down. Built some cars. I had a couple of main guys one of them still work for me. That he was going to be there helping me also. But then also we grew into a 35,000 square foot facility. We built cars for people all over the country. Farthest car so far, New Zealand, that we've did. We do a lot of average guy stuff, but we also do the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 cars too. We really goals that I'll do after getting this world record will be I want to win SEMA, I want to win Grand National Roadster Show, and the Crown Jewel, I want to win the Riddler. And the Riddler takes $5 million to win. And that will be my goals after I get this one.
Those are some spectacular goals, Mr. Stelse, and you keep pursuing them, and it is going to be good to see you attain them for sure. The work that is evident on your social media and the website is spectacular, and the work that you're putting in with the Joker is also spectacular, and keep it up. Now, Frank Stein's Garage, he asks, what was Greg's inspiration to write the Joker book? So clue us in what he's referring to and give us that inspiration.
Okay, we got a book called The Joker out, and a friend of mine, basically, he called me up and he said he wanted to come see me. I haven't seen him for years. And he's wrote a couple of books. I read one of his books and I thought it was very good. And he stopped in and he come talk to me and he says, I don't know why I'm here, but the Lord put him here today to come see me. So we just, started talking like we did back in the day. And then I said, you know why you're here? You're here to write a book on the Joker. And that's how it ended up being. And then everything in the book that you read is about me and my wife are true stories. And you'll know the parts that ain't true, but anything you read about us, it's actually, I'm biased a little bit, but I'm telling you, it's a very good book. If you do read it, most people always tell me they can't set it down, so which is pretty amazing. We are working on maybe doing another book too. We just gotta we need to add some stuff to the chapter, so hopefully we can get that little check mark here real quick.
I like it. I'm sure there's some stories from going up and down the road. You put enough miles underneath you, you start collecting the stories. Strange stuff happens on the road, one way or the other. You just put those miles out there. You start building the stories. And
I tell all our guys all the time when we're driving down the road that I know you don't think about it right now, but 20 years or 25 years from now, you're going to look back and say, hey, I was part of that team and we're going to get it. And I got a lot of plans for the Joker. I don't really want to say too much about that because they'll be coming forward. But we have some big plans that people are going to be blown away when they find out what's going to happen with the car. We got a lot of stuff up our sleeve. But our main goal right now, Southeast Gassers, world record. That's our main goal right now. And everything else has got to sit to the side until we can achieve that. And if we don't achieve it, well, we're just going to keep racing, because I'm not quitting until I get it.
Well, speaking of the Joker itself, in that referring to the car and not alluding to what you've got up your sleeve or in the hand to play of the cards, as of now, what is packing in this machine? Give us the combination of this hot rod you've got, year, make, model, through it all.
We got it's a 1957 Pontiac. We have a PARS 477 big block Chevy in it. We run a G-force transmission. Roby put a great transmission together for us. We run a Mosey rear end. The car's right around 1,000 horsepower. It's a handful. We actually used to run 600 gears in the rear. Right now we're trying a little different gear right now in it. The car, we were only racing eighth mile now, and that car's used to racing quarter mile. In the eighth mile, I'll go to a quarter mile track and I'll shut the car off about eighth mile, and it still runs in the 853 is the fastest I ever ran with the motor shut off half track. So I don't know how fast the car would run in a quarter. Haven't did it yet, but probably gonna put the gears in one day and see if we can knock out of her, just to see.
Impressive. Well, look, I've got to commend you on bringing something a little different to the track. It's the 10 Indian. I like seeing things that are different. Nothing against Chevy 2s and Novas, but everybody clamors in modern day drag racing. Take NHRA Pro Stock, for example. They say, Pro Camaro, because there's nothing but a bunch of Camaros out there.
Yep.
And it's the same with NHRA Pro Mod and Pro Mod just about everywhere in the country, unless it's a bit back of a generation of Pro Mod. And you see that type of racing in like a quick 8 setting. So thank you for being one of the individuals bringing something a little different to the Southeast Gassers Association.
Yeah, I've owned that car 10 years. When I first got the car, I promised my wife I wouldn't get serious in racing with it. And because I was really serious in the late model racing and the modified stuff, I was getting pretty serious in it and figuring out their next level, what we're going to do. So when I sold that and decided to go drag racing, basically what happened was I went to the Meltdown Drags in Byron, Illinois, and I was hook, line, and sinkered. And I promised her I wouldn't go get serious in it. So for years, we just had fun in the car. Car would run like 12 seconds. It was okay. But then when she decided to become my backup girl, she got sick of losing. And she said that, and at the time, she knew that I wanted a Gene Fulton motor. So she finally got so mad one day, she said, call Fulton and get that motor. Right then and there, I knew green light. Let's go get it. So then we started transformation in the car to what it is today. Like I said, it weighed 4,200 pounds when I first had it. We can get the car to 2,600 right now with me in it.
Wow, that is impressive. Of something of that size, that age, and to get it to that number, you look the car, it being a Pontiac, and the theme you've got around it, the Joker. Why does that come about? How does it come about? And I'm certainly interested in hearing this story because I imagine it's got a different twist than just the popular culture take on it. So why the Joker?
So basically what happened with that was I was at my trucking company, and back then everybody was on Craigslist. So on Craigslist, after I got all my loads taken care of, I would run off copies of cars I want to call on because I've bought and sold a lot of cars. Well, I come across the Joker, and I seen it on a trailer, and it had the name of the Joker on it. So I called the guy, and he was in Missouri, and He wasn't very nice to me on the phone because he was sick of everybody calling him, and he said it's not for sale. So I was like, okay, I just hung the phone up or whatever. So about 2 months later, I was cleaning my desk off, and it was in a stack of papers, and I'm throwing them all in the garbage. And actually threw it in the garbage. And I went through 3, 4 more cars. I threw them in the garbage, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call back on that '57 Pontiac. So I called him, and then he says, if it's on Craigslist tomorrow, it's for sale again. If not, it's not for sale. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I got up in the morning and went down to my office and, walked over to the trucking company, went in my office, and I turned on the computer and looked on Craigslist, and there it was for sale. I called him. I said, hey, I'm the guy who called last night. He goes, oh yeah, it's for sale. He goes, how long will it take you to get here? I said, I'm like 12 hours away. He's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. I was like, listen, I'm begging this guy. I'm like, I'll give you how much you want for the car. And I'll just tell you, it was $8,500. I said, I will give you $8,500 for it. We don't got to worry about it. He says, okay. He goes, you call me when you get to the state line. So I got the state line. I called him and had to call him every hour after that. But he loosened up because it was in Missouri as I got down there. And, when I got there, all I cared about the VIN number and the title. And I looked at that, and my buddy that was with me, he started saying stuff about the car, and I'm like, just don't even talk about it. Let's get it loaded up, because I didn't want him to back out on me. So, because being a '57 Pontiac, and that's the way it looks, and I was just like, okay. So we get it up on there, and he was going through some times, and he had to let it go. I think that's what was going on there. I got it back home, and there was a guy named Dan Smith on the roof. So I was just curious on it. I just left it alone, and it says Smith Brothers Racing on the side of it. And then there's another name that was on the side of it. Sun Automotive was on the side of it, and that relates back to the Animal Jim, if you know who he is. And I was at Byron one day, and the guy come up to me and said, he handed me a driver's license, and he said, hey, look at it. And I'm looking, and it says Dan Smith, and I pointed to the car, and I'm like, you're Dan Smith? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh my God, I got a lot of questions for you. Then we started talking, and I asked him, I said, how fast was it when you drove it? And he says he never drove it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, no, he put the Joker on it. He never drove it. And I'm like, so you're telling me I'm the first guy to drive with Joker on it? He said, yeah. And I was like super cool then, because I just thought everybody come and said, oh, they seen that back in the '60s and blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't know until I talked to Dan. And basically what happened was Dan was going to work one day. He drove the same place, drove by this house every day for years and years and years. And he said, all of a sudden one day he seen this car sitting outside the barn, had green tinted windows on it, and it had a tow bar bolted to the front of it. And he stopped and he bought it from an old guy, and he said he used to race it. And he had a bunch of stickers in the windows and stuff, but it did not have the Joker on it. Dan Smith put that on there. And I just left it on there. And, I guess I am the Joker. So it all worked out.
That's a great story. Love it. And the car's history going all the way back with its roots, and you bringing it alive, keeping it going, and allowing the joke to carry on. And hopefully your punchline soon enough in that world record will land for you and your team. Thomas, he asks that with you adding power with the new engine combination, how drastic have you had to alter the suspension in regards to shock springs, things of that nature?
Right now, the shocks, we wait for Brian to get here right now. He has my new shocks sitting in the he picked them up. So we definitely had to put some different shocks on it. And the clutching right now, it definitely has way more power than my other motor did. And now we're just trying to get it hooked up to the track, and we're getting close. We're hoping this weekend we definitely can have something for him this weekend. I mean, we are close. I know we're close. I can just feel it in the car. So we're definitely hoping we can do something. I think we're missing a couple little things yet, but I know this year I think we're gonna get it nailed down. Basically, what I want to do is I need to go testing, and it's what I need to do. And with my business right now, it's tough to be able to just take off to North Carolina and sit at Shady Side for a week and test, but it's going to have to happen.
I mean, you're in a tough, well, literal climate to do testing for a drag car or any race car. I mean, you speak of your dirt background. What does everybody in northern dirt racing do? They go to Florida for
Yep.
the winter to get racing in down at Volusia and places like that, and
Yep.
late model guys go down to Pensacola and Five Flag Speedway and so on and so on and do all those races. The pro mod guys go down to Bradenton. So you're certainly in a place that, unlike those that are in the Carolinas and they're based there, you can have a nice day in the winter and go testing if it hits just right. You're not getting that in Wisconsin.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's what that does put a damper on our program. And I have a lot of people that are counting on me at work. So I have to do my job there first. Um, uh, Even though racing is 100% a big part of Greg's Speed Shop. I mean, the Joker has made me and my wife closer, just because she's my backup girl, and I mean, literally, she takes this very, very serious, just like I do. Um, and we're a team, and my whole team, everybody that comes with us, my son, a guy named Justin at the shop, all the guys at the shop that don't get to go, they work on the car also at the shop. I mean, there's a lot of inside stuff that people don't know what we do. My shop is a full facility, and I'm telling you, we can do. It doesn't matter what it is, we can do it. The only reason we didn't build the motor in the Joker is because we don't want to be behind the game right off the bat, because we don't know the combinations they're run. So we have to buy and pay for that combination. Basically, what I'm doing is paying for experience. A Gene Fulton intake. I've had to pay for a Gene Fulton intake to a Pars race engine. Pars, they definitely have their stuff together when it comes to the motor, and so does Fulton. Um, I don't believe right now. I don't believe my car has anything to do with the motor. It's right now. It's chassis and it's the shocks and it's the clutch right now. Once we nail them two things down, I don't care what any of them think. um, we're going to be the one to beat, and that's just what it's going to be.
All right. All right. I like it. Well, out of your competitors, and I like to ask this of all the Southeast Gasser drivers and competitors I get on, amongst, uh, we'll do it class wide, but nonetheless, give me an A gas competitor too, even though if there is one in B, C, H, beyond in the other categories, your favorite car in Southeast Gassers Association competition beyond the Joker itself.
I hate even saying this, but it is the chick magnet. What really Leslie was the guy I watched before I came to Sega, and I watched the car when it was Pale Rider, when it came to the meltdown. Greg Porter was another one. The Night Stalker. I mean, when I seen him run, that's really, really got me going to want to do this. Queen too. Watching Queen through the years, definitely was very cool seeing him, and then be able to race with these guys. You know, but Leslie's a buddy of mine, but he definitely is. He definitely, that car was the one I rooted for. But I love a lot of them. I mean, Gabe's car I love. Mitch, when Mitch was here, I really wish Mitch would be back here. He's one of the good ones right there. And but there's so many. I mean, the family in Sega is just unbelievable. I mean, I met so many great people. We're honestly thinking about doing a Greg Speed Shop South someday, um, just because to be closer to this racing. what we want to do. We always want to be part of this family. I don't know how many years that I can run a full season and all this stuff. But as of right now, we're going to keep pushing and we're going to keep doing it. But if I had a place down south, it might be a little easier to do. So we just got to see where it takes us. We got a TV deal now for Sega, so we'll see if maybe it gets us all to the next level, and we'll be riding. I know, like in the car world, people don't realize how much I really do sacrifice of what I do. Um, I mean, because I know in the car world I can go really far, um, and meet a lot of great people, and I know them all. But man, this Sega's got me. It's got me in the heart, and when that happens, um, all the rest really don't matter. I'd rather be here with my buddies racing, and it's a great deal.
It certainly is. The only thing right now in drag racing, I think, is comparable. And I've said it often, and I will continue to say it. I've been able to experience both, yet it's on an opposite spectrum with no rules, as long as it's a funny car. Is Funny Car Chaos and Sega are like the two best going things right now in drag racing, far as movements of the grassroots level. It is so fascinating to see that the two camps that are so different are so similar in the people, the camaraderie, and the passion of pursuing the opportunity to race how you want to do it. And I think that is very critical, and people are getting out there and pursuing it and doing it. All right, of the Southeast Gasser Association tracks that you have visited, what is the top track on the list and why?
Shady Side.
Okay.
Shady Side is it. I mean, that track, you feel like you're in 1967. I mean, it feels weird when you're sitting in the car. It is just, you see the people. There's 4,000 people there. It is crazy, and you just feel there's something about that place, and I don't know. I absolutely love it. The whole team loves that track. We went to Wilkesboro too. I'll have to say we went there last year because I think it was Farmington that got rained out or something. And we ended up going to Wilkesboro, North Wilkesboro, and that track also for me was reminded me a lot of Shady Side. Them are the two tracks that I really really like. And for Wilkesboro, I kind of like a track when it's kind of. I feel like I got a better chance if the track is slick. I just feel like I can outdrive them. So that track was kind of sketchy, so I kind of like that.
Wilkesboro is another great setting. Certainly, I think an underrated picturesque facility, and they've got some neat amenities for a small local, kind of out in the middle of nowhere track, stuck in this little valley. Like, who in the world put a track there? Type
Yeah.
of situation. It is certainly Wilkesboro. Shady Side also in a similar light, not too far from Shelby though, and the Buff boys are doing a great job, and they continue to make that facility nicer and nicer each and every time, but it still has that flair. I agree. When you put Sega there and it's at Shady Side, you feel like you have stepped back into 1967, and you're
Yep.
getting the full dosage of nostalgia in those situations. It is cool to feel that and experience that. Well, Greg, look, certainly looking forward to seeing you and the Joker and the team and you all doing well this weekend at Killcare Raceway for the Southeast Gassers Association, in particular in AGAS. Last question for you. What was your favorite piece of candy growing up?
I guess I don't know. You know what? I have to think about that, but I'd probably say, boy, probably have to be a Snickers. I
Snickers. All
think it,
right, Snickers. You cannot go wrong with Snickers
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
right.
It is a staple. It is a classic. Nothing wrong with that. Well, man, I know you are certainly wanting to chomp on world record holder more than a Snickers, and it never know, might very well be this weekend. You keep working at it. Thank you for your time, and before you do go, clue everybody in on how they can follow the Joker.
You can go to Greg's Speed Shop on Facebook, Greg's Speed Shop, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's all Greg's Speed Shop. You'll see a lot of the Joker. Um, it just probably right now Facebook is mainly my main, but just go to Greg's Speed Shop. You'll see us. You won't miss the Joker.
Spectacular. Greg, thank you for the time.
All right, thank you. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you this weekend.
Yes, sir. All right, folks. Greg Stelse, the driver of the Joker in A-Gas competition, Southeast Gassers Association, right here on Between the Slicks. We're going to take a break. Right after the break, we'll talk some more drag racing. Dive into the comment section on what you might want to talk about. We'll briefly go over some drag racing news, nothing exhaustive, and look towards the weekend, and a lot of drag racing happening this weekend across the country. This word from Destroyer 1320. If you have a modern muscle car, you certainly want to protect it, because they are on the list of thieves to nab, and they're at the top. You need to protect your ride, and one of the easiest ways to do it is with Destroyer 1320's theft deterrent system, because you would be shocked how easy it is to steal a modern hot rod, especially from the Chrysler camp.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.
All right, welcome back again. Lee Craft here, Between the Slicks, live on the Monday Morning Racer platforms, as well as Competition Plus, the Facebook page, and the Drag Racing Connection Facebook page. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Great time there with Greg Stelse, the driver of the Joker in Southeast Gasser Association competition in A-Gas. Leah chimes in and says he loves peanut M&Ms. I do too. Peanut M&Ms are one of my favorites. Just about anything with peanuts. I really enjoy peanuts. Great, completely underrated. And thank you, George Washington Carver, for sure. We need peanuts in our lives. And great to see the folks chiming in and supporting Greg in the journey to be the baddest, as he put it, and hold that record for the fastest gasser. Drag Racing Mayhem says Jolly Ranchers is the only correct answer to that. I like your chime in there, Drag Racing Mayhem. I do enjoy Jolly Ranchers. When I think of hard candy, I've said it many times, I will continue to say it. It is a part of the story of marketing, and it connected with motorsports. When I think of hard candy, what comes to mind first is Jolly Rancher. And why does it come to my mind first? Because of their involvement in drag racing. And I can remember going to the Southern Nationals and coming home with Jolly Ranchers, and on the very coffee table that is in my home today, as a little boy, drag racing Jolly Ranchers down the coffee table, and the green one was John Force, and the red one was Kenny Bernstein, and so on and so on and so on. And that's just how I fixed it in my mind and connected the dots. And to this day, I still enjoy Jolly Rancher. In particular, watermelon flavor. That's my favorite. I enjoy watermelon. And then sour apple would be second, I think. But do not get it often. But When I get hard candy, I want Jolly Rancher. That is what I want. And Mike chimes in and says, "That's funny. I actually seen him eating M&Ms at the track." All right, maybe it's M&Ms. That's what we need. Maybe in Victory Lane, it's M&Ms instead of champagne for Greg and the Joker. Drag Racing Mayhem says, "Grape is the best flavor, by the way. You, sir, are wrong. No, enjoy whatever flavor you want of Jolly Ranchers. Some people don't even like Jolly Ranchers. Those people are wrong as well. But you're more welcome to be right here on Between the Slicks and talk drag racing." I want to mention again, because what a phenomenal feat it was in the feats accomplished in drag racing that Tricky Ricky Smith, pro stock legend, pro mod legend, simply legend of drag racing, period. You see him there at ZMAX Dragway in his pro mod. But the designation is not simply PM. It is A/PM 264. Ricky Smith entered his nitrous-assisted door slammer, a pro modified car, NHRA legal, in Competition Eliminator. And he not only just entered it, he won Competition Eliminator at ZMAX Dragway. Had the privilege and honor to chat with him on Tuesday night. You can see that interview on Competition Plus, the YouTube channel for competitionplus.com. And it was a great conversation, as it always is with Ricky, revealing on a lot of levels, but it was certainly revealing on the how, when, where, and why of him going in the Competition Eliminator, and then the storyline of him winning. Absolutely spectacular. Congratulations once again, Ricky. This weekend, I'm going to be at Killcare Raceway covering the Southeast Gassers Association event there, in particular, A-Gas. So this is the third race of the season for Sega, and if you want to know what happened in the A-Gas category for the season opener at Brainerd Motorsports Park, there in as North Georgia as you can get, almost Tennessee, Ringgold, Georgia, it's on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, the full elimination video. You can also see the full elimination video from Shadyside. The event winners that we've had thus far this year are Kenneth Phillips in the Silver Streak, first event. In the second event, Gabriel Burrell, the defending champion, comes back with a vengeance after winning round one in Brainerd, but due to a broken piece in the suspension, had to get out of the race and go on home. He comes into Shadyside, just down the road from his home, the home track, and picks up the win. Do not expect Gabriel Burrell to be at Killcare Raceway unless there has been a drastic change. Not sure about Kenneth Phillips either. So we may very well be looking at a first-time winner for this year, at least, in Southeast Gassers Association A-Gas competition at Killcare Raceway. We almost had a first-time winner, period, in Sega competition in A-Gas at the last race, the Shelby Nationals, presented by Robbins Repairables at Shadyside Dragway, in Barry Lynn in his red wagon. He was in the final round and had an opportunity to win his first Southeast Gassers Association race. It was a very close race, and if he is in competition, he is certainly a threat. Todd Blackwell, certainly a threat. Dean Jonas, a threat. There's so many out there. Almost any car in A-Gas that enters into competition, they are a threat to win. And certainly Greg Stelse, the driver of the Joker that we talked to earlier in the show. Let me go to the comments section here. Randy Johnston, any streaming this weekend? I'm going to assume you're referring to the Southeast Gassers Association. No, there is no streaming that will be taking place officially. All of the Southeast Gassers Association recaps officially are on PowerTube TV. Just go to Google, search PowerTube TV. You'll find their website, and you can find elsewhere where they are playing their material, such as on Roku, YouTube, elsewhere. And you can see full official recaps soon to be released on PowerTube TV. Now, for AGAS, when I show up, I cover in particular the AGAS category, and you can see those recaps in full, driver interviews as well on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Beyond Sega, I believe, well, who would be streaming this weekend? Funny Car Chaos is not. NHRA is streaming the Sports Nationals at No Problem Raceway. I know they're doing that. That is all that I know of that is streaming. Always be on the outlook for NC Pro Modder, his Facebook page, his YouTube channel, NC Pro Modder. Wherever he is at, he will be live streaming. You all may remember that is the gentleman, Jay Warren, NC Pro Modder, that saved the day for Flow Racing at Bradenton for the World Series of Pro Mod action after the big pro race when they had the major technical difficulties during that event. So check out NC Pro Modder as well. He will be streaming anywhere he might be this weekend. And I did see him out at the track. Oh, he's at Darlington. Now, mentioning that, IHRA, International Hot Rod Association, which, by the way, is not dead and it never did die. It went through a change and it's being revived, hopefully back to its full glory days, though a little different, with Larry Jeffers at the helm. IHRA.TV, I think that's how they've got it listed on YouTube, or IHRA TV. Well, they have streaming on their YouTube. So if you want to see streaming, you can see. So, Randy, several streamed events, but yeah, Sega is not streaming. From what I understand in interviews with Leslie, and he has mentioned it many times, you're not going to see anything streamed this year as of yet. Again, you're going to see full recaps on PowerTube TV. I do not know, Mike. I do not know if anyone is streaming the 100K at Beach Bend Raceway Park. I would say for that, check out Motor Mania. Motor Mania may very well be streaming that event. The Flings, they have their own YouTube channel now, and you can watch the Flings for free on their own YouTube channel. Again, Sports Nationals, the NHRA, No Problem Raceway, that big event for sportsman racers, it will be streamed on NHRA.TV for free, and also the NHRA YouTube channel. Drag Racing Mayhem. For some reason, NHRA isn't streaming the Indy Cletus Regional, which for the biggest regional of the year is pretty messed up. Well, it's not the biggest regional of the year. So you've got to understand, yes, though it may have a big car culture crowd within the world of NHRA, it's not the biggest regional. It probably will not even be the most attended regional. Those usually go to, for example, Las Vegas, or even the Baby Gators. And the Baby Gators is certainly, in the sense, a significant, very significant regional in the grand aspect. And I would argue the biggest regional this year is the regional that's going to take place at Norwalk, Summit Motorsports Park, being a part of the grandest show in drag racing. That is a show. They're going to be running for points, and that is the Night Under Fire at Summit Motorsports Park. So I can tell you, though, why they're not streaming it. More than likely, it might also be a conflict with streaming from Cletus and his gang, but the individual that would be streaming it is in, well, No Problem Raceway there in Belrose, Louisiana, which is Warren Evans. So he's not there. He's in Belrose, Louisiana, streaming that event. All right, great. We've got some great comments. Folks are chiming in about streaming and where you can find some things. By the way, I think what the Flings are doing, I think what happened earlier this year with Funny Car Chaos, streaming the Funny Car Chaos Classic, I think you've got other platforms such as Going Bracket Racing. They are streaming races now. You have Gallstar TV, Gallstar Racing. They stream events as well. And you have On the Spot Motorsports Media streaming events. Let me say this. We are in a time right now where you can have a decent stream and you don't need an entity like Flow Racing. And I think that is a good thing for all of us that want to consume motorsports content. And I think the more motorsports content on YouTube that is accessible, the better. And, there may be a time where you had to be in the membership program on a YouTube channel. Sure, I understand streaming does cost. It is not free. That's a misunderstanding. YouTube is not free. This very show itself technically is not free to me. I pay a monthly subscription to the software, well, actually a website that I'm using in StreamYard.com. So there is a cost to go live, certainly. And that is just mentioning that in particular. But it is something that I think for tracks, for promotions, for series, it behooves them to have their own platform and not be reliant upon any other platform, or work out deals with channels that are already established. It fascinates me. You have those that seem almost scared to let a YouTuber or some media outlet come in and cover a race as if it's going to steal exposure at times. No track should be that way. If anything, work with those personalities, work with those outlets, and more than likely they're going to be willing to work with you on what you need to build the brand of the racetrack. When I go to a racetrack, it's not there just to collect content for the sake of putting it on Monday Morning Racer just to grow Monday Morning Racer. My hope is that more people will go visit that racetrack. Why is this such a good place to come race? Why is this such a good place to come experience drag racing? Or as I go elsewhere and cover oval track racing or tractor pulling or whatever it might be, I think it is something that every track, every venue, get all the promotion you can from the biggest outlet to the smallest outlets. Ask them, work with them. More than likely, they're going to be willing to do so. All right? So just talk with them. Just talk with them. Now, the drag racing world, what's happening this weekend? Many of you have chimed in. Cletus and Cars going to be at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Freedom 800, isn't it? Someone chime in. I think it's the Freedom 800 or the Indy 800. Nonetheless, that entire weekend, and what in particular involves drag racing, is the NHRA Lucas Oil top alcohol competitors. Many of them are going to be there competing in regional battle for points and for their regional championships and toward the world championship. Notable names as well. Sean Bellemere and the Killer Bees are going to be there. Maddie Gordon in the hot rod that won the world championship last year that her dad stepped out of and put her in. They will be there. Julie Natus, she will be there, defending world champion in top alcohol dragster. The Mathilix camp, many other individuals are going to be there, some of the top names in top alcohol. And I'm certainly glad that the crowd that is so familiar with Cletus, they're going to get to experience this NHRA drag racing. This happened last year, and it was well attended and it was well received, and I'm glad it's happening again. And the transfer is that you have people who are into cars, and they're into cars in one way, but not maybe the way you and I are in cars, in particular with drag racing, and in particular NHRA drag racing of the top alcohol variety. There were many top alcohol competitors last year that remarked that people that were there for Cletus and Cars were shocked by what they encountered with the top alcohol funny cars and top alcohol dragsters, and they were exposed to it for the first time. So it is a great way for NHRA drag racing to expose itself at an NHRA venue and have a different show and have a different crowd, and let there be crossover. This is a great event. Another great event that is happening, Funny Car Chaos, is in Odessa, Texas at Pinwell Knights Raceway, Friday and Saturday. If you want to see some of the best funny car action in the nation, ranging from nitro cars to methanol burners to pro-charged funny cars, you name it, it's out there. So if you are in West Texas, go experience some good funny car racing at Funny Car Chaos. And feel free, chime in. Where is racing happening for you this weekend? And by the way, just if the weather's good, I know there have been events canceled this weekend because they know the weather's not going to be great where they're at. Get to your local track and enjoy some drag racing. Jacob McLeod, he chimes in. The problem is popular YouTube streamed racing series tend to get its rights purchased by a corporation like Super GT and Motorsports TV. Yes, no, that's a reality. And I almost feel like there's got to be some bulwarks against it and some gumption, some fortitude in people saying, nope, we're not going to let this happen. We're not going to let this be a buyout, and keep it where it is accessible for people. Because I firmly believe that you're going to get more exposure when you're on a platform that is free to the user, such as YouTube, and it's in a search algorithm, and you have the possibility of it being exposed and pushed before new eyeballs. But if you have it behind a paywall, you have a barrier up front, and the people that are going to be most interested in it already know something about it and have consumed that product one way or the other. I think every series, I think every platform, every promotion should have some type of multimedia on YouTube. Now, if they want to have something where you're getting more and it's behind a paywall, that's fine. That's great. I understand that. Nonetheless, have something on YouTube in the algorithm, floating out there, catching all the eyeballs that you can. Drag Racing Mayhem, he says here, this channel, Monday Morning Racer, convinced him to attend his first PDRA event. And the PDRA has some great drag racing. It does not have its own YouTube channel, which does shock me. It could have some great content for sure. Drag Racing Mayhem also chimes in, says the issue with that is people follow Cletus because it's Cletus, the personality. They'll be impressed by the alcohol cars, but won't turn into a follower of them without connecting to a personality. Well, I don't think many of them will turn, but there will be those that do. Now, what has to happen, to your point, I agree with you. I think, and I even made this remark to Maddie Gordon in speaking to her, because they're going there for the first time. And I said, look, it was a big event last year. It was well attended. Work the crowd. Be out there. Talk to those people. Interact with those people. Don't just sell T-shirts. Throw some T-shirts out and give them away. Give a wink and a smile. Get out and meet, be a personality amongst all those persons under the shadow of the big personality that has drawn everybody, Cletus McFarland. You've got your stage. Now play on it. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. As Dugenet Bland, the Not Blend Show says, and as we has mentioned on the show, No Problem Raceway, they are in competition with the Sports Nationals. You can see that on NHRA.tv or the NHRA YouTube channel. Thank you for watching Between the Slicks. And it was great to have Greg Stelse here on the show, the driver of the Joker. You are going to see more of him right here on Monday Morning Racer, because you can expect a full recap video of eliminations of the A-Gas category from Keel Care Raceway in Xenia, Ohio this weekend. Action does begin Friday with some test and tune action, and in earnest Saturday with qualifying and eliminations. Thank you all for watching. Hey, James, what you saying here, man? How's it going, MMR? Since I found your channel during COVID 2020, and it has been that long ago, hasn't it? You are the man who's bringing relevance to sportsman classes in NHRA. Trying to, when I am at the NHRA, I want to cover alcohol. And look, let me put it this way. It frustrates me when I see YouTube channels that are devoted to NHRA drag racing, and all you see, or rather, maybe they're not even devoted to NHRA drag racing. That might not even be the best way to put it. But I will see so many channels, they will put up Top Fuel eliminations, funny car eliminations, pro stock eliminations. Most of them don't bother with NHRA pro stock nonetheless. But they'll put up those eliminations run after run after run after run. They never bother talking to a driver. They never bother talking to the personalities behind the scenes and the people that make the cars go and the people that make the race happen. They just, well, steal the content, throw it up, and people watch it. And there is more, in my opinion, to this media gig than just having cars on your platform going down the track. Talk about the event. Talk about the people. Talk about the fan base. Talk about the track. Talk about the controversy. Talk about the rights and the wrongs. Talk about the stories, not just show the cars. And though at times we may have a professional driver right here on this show, or there may be a professional driver showcased on the Monday Morning Racer platform, there are too many stories in drag racing and in racing of those that are sportsmen, if you will, though they're professionals, or the little guys, if you will. I had someone chime in on my Carolina Sprint Tour show, and it is a driver. And he's saying, thank you for showcasing the little guys. There's more sprint car racing out there beyond the World of Outlaws. There's more drag racing out there beyond NHRA Mission Foods. There's more drag racing out there beyond even the NHRA. Go cover it. Take some time. Get an interview. Showcase the people. I firmly believe the stars are not the cars. It's the people. Because it took a person to build the car. It takes a person to build the car. It takes a person to drive the car. It takes a person to work on the car. It takes people to have all this function and work. They're stories. For example, tonight, you may know Greg Stelse from The Joker, and you see this really cool 10 Indian Pontiac. And it is a cool car, and I love the theme. But what's the story behind it? And that was a cool story. That car having its racing history and him trying to buy it and the guy wanting to back out and him going all the way to Missouri from Wisconsin to pick up that thing and then learning that it never got drove by this person. He's the first one to get to drive it as a Joker. Man, that's a cool story. I want to hear those things. I want to showcase those things. So that's something that If you watch just about any video on my platform, there's going to be interviews, and it is not just the racing. Here recently with the oval racing that I cover, or even Southeast Gasser Association drag racing, I used to go to the Sega and I would film every category and then put out a video of the racing, but I didn't like it because I couldn't get interviews and I couldn't tell the story because there was so much drag racing action, and it's so well done at Sega as a package of a drag racing event that I didn't have time to go to the pits and get the stories. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to focus on just AGAS, and I'm going to give the proper introduction, and I'm going to interview those guys, and I'm going to weave the story together. The last event, what a fascinating story. Todd Blackwell, #1 qualifier, but he misses the second session going into eliminations because they had to scramble and put a windshield in his car because his windshield blew in on him and cut his hand. That's what I'm talking about. If you're just going to film the race and never go bother to get the story, no one would ever heard anything about that. And that's a cool story. It's a racing story. So, take the time to get the stories. The channels that are out there that you just show race cars going down the track, shame on you. There's people behind the wheel. Showcase them. That's my soapbox for the night. Thank you all for listening. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Join in once again whenever we go live with Between the Slicks. My plan is to have a busy week with Between the Slicks next week, maybe 3 episodes next week. So be prepared to come join in on the conversation. Thank you all, and get to the track and enjoy racing, whatever it might be, this weekend at your local track. Thank you. Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer, out.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for power-built tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.